Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome all. Welcome back. Welcome to Coffee and Nuance. Today, we're talking about something that's as common in our lives as a driver on their phone in the fast lane. And I'm talking about the decoy effect. Yes, the decoy effect. That's the art of making informed decisions. But really, we're just falling for marketing Jedi mind tricks. It's like choosing a presidential candidate. They throw in a third option just to make you feel like you got a choice. Yeah, the lesser of three evils. How delightful. Now, let's talk about popcorn, folks, because popcorn is what they use in all the textbooks to explain the decoy effect. And is there anything more American than overpriced movie theater snacks? It's like highway robbery with a side of butter, or as my friend Kevin says, golden oil. You got your small popcorn, you got your large popcorn, and then you got the medium popcorn in the middle. That's never anybody's choice. I mean, who's buying medium popcorn? It's like the Goldilocks of snacks. Not too big, not too small, but just right to make the large popcorn seem like a bargain. Suddenly you're forking over $9 for a bucket of popped kernels. And you thought that only Congress could master the art of adding a little something extra to make you spend more. But it's not just popcorn. The decoy effect is everywhere. It's the salad option at the fast food joint. It makes you feel like you're making a healthy choice until you remember that it costs more than the burger, fries, and a shake combined. In conclusion, folks, remember the decoy effect next time you're faced with political choices. Don't fall for the okie doke. If you find yourself in a debate about pineapple on pizza, just order the popcorn. Enjoy the show. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee Nuance Show. Best censored commentary and news show live right now. Flame on. Yes, the decoy effect. This is everywhere, and it's trickery. It's sorcery. It really is. So I got some coffee cups here, and imagine you go into a coffee shop, and they got three options for a cup of coffee. I'm talking coffee, just black coffee, not a mocha or a frappuccino or something, right? The small's $2. Wow, that's a good deal. Medium, $3.50, and the large is $4. See, in this scenario, the medium-sized coffee is a decoy. It makes the large coffee seem like a better value, even though when you walked in there, you might have considered getting the small coffee. Yeah. And this is used in all kinds of fields. So, for example, with online streaming, right? They use the decoy effect in their subscription models, right? Like they could have a basic plan, it's $10 a month, standard quality. Premium plan, $15 a month, high definition, multiple devices. You're like, oh, well, that sounds like a better deal, but I don't know. Not sure what to get. Then you look at the Ultra plan, which is $30 for 4K and unlimited devices. So here, the Ultra plan, it's the decoy because it makes the other plans seem like a really good deal, even though initially you might not have thought that. They tricked you. Now you're happy to fork over that money for that subscription deal because it now seems like a good deal. You're not paying the $30, right? So these examples, they just illustrate how businesses and marketers strategically introduce less appealing options to influence your choice and steer you toward their preferred choice. And often this means more money. More money, right? So imagine, if you will, a scenario where a political party has potential candidates for a primary election, right? Let's say candidate A is a moderate candidate with positions aligned with the party's core values, but he is perceived, he or she is perceived as being bland. It's not being very charismatic, not being really exciting. But candidate B, candidate B has more extreme positions, and it energizes the party base, but maybe this candidate is not going to be as appealing in the general election to everyone. So what they do is they introduce a third candidate, less known candidate, doesn't exactly align with the party's core values, but they add this fat guy in to make the other candidates, especially candidate A, seem a lot more appealing. So by adding in some boring blowhard, they can make the guy that's not as charismatic but aligns with the values of the party seem a lot more appealing and less extreme than the other candidate. So this is how the decoy works. Primary voters may consider candidate A the safest choice now because they want to avoid the extreme position of candidate B. And they view candidate C as, not real exciting, not really aligning with the values. So as a result, candidate A gains more support for the primary election, and the party leadership achieves its goal of nominating a candidate more electable in the general. Has this ever happened? Yeah, it happens in pretty much every election. Now, this is just a simplified example, but the thing is, they can game plan all this out, right? They can get some focus groups. They pay people, join this focus group. We need your opinion, and they'll find people through different agencies. I've been a part of these things, so I know how they work. And they'll hire people. They'll say, hell yeah, come on down. We want to talk to you about this ideas, and we'll give you $75 just for hanging out during the day, for an hour of your time. And what they will do is they will come up with different scenarios and see how people react to them. And this is really cheap to get this kind of information, so you know exactly how you want to run a campaign. And I believe that this is being done right now in the Republican primary. Of course, I'm not going to say who candidate A, candidate B, or candidate C, Christie, is. I'm not going to make any claims for that. But this is well known in marketing, in advertising, and it's used across. You'll see this everywhere in life. By introducing a third option, you can make one of the other two options seem a lot more appealing just based on how you position that third option. And so this is all planned out. It's not by chance. It's not random. This is planned. And just be aware of it when you see it happen. And be aware of it in other aspects of life as well. And like I say, there's a million examples of this. If you have an example, let me know in the comments. We got a good show for you today. I'm going to go through a couple of stories, end on some good news, because we always have to end on some good news. But first, we got to get to more. So the final defendant in the Proud Boys case. Let's get to that. Interesting. I'm just looking at some of my settings here. Oh, glad everyone is joining us today. As you know, we're streaming live on Rumble, and we're streaming live on YouTube and some other places as well. Stick around for the after show. I'll be going through all your comments. But right now, I want to talk about Enrique Tarrio. He got 22 years for his role in the Capitol attack. Now, I'm not saying that's a long sentence, but by the time he gets out, he'll be eligible for AARP benefits and a senior discount. Oh, man. This is terrible, in my opinion. Former Proud Boys chairman Enrique Tarrio has been sentenced to 22 years in prison for seditious conspiracy related to the January 6th Capitol attack, even though he wasn't there. Despite not being present at the attack, he played a significant role in organizing it, they claim. Tarrio apologized before sentencing, saying he was against violence and had distanced himself from politics. Prosecutors argued he had a toxic ability to control others. Tarrio's lawyer claimed he was a misguided patriot, not a terrorist. The Justice Department sought 33 years, but the sentence of 22 years is the longest of any January 6th defendant. So just more craziness, in my opinion. This is not to punish these guys, in my opinion. This is my commentary. This is to make sure that if there's some shenanigans or perceived shenanigans with the next election, you better not take to the streets, because you might end up like this guy. That's the message, in my opinion. How many times do I have to say in my opinion? But that's what it is. Don't you dare question things. Don't you dare protest, because if you protest the wrong people, 22 years. Now, if you protest the right people, according to them, you get paid. So, you know, folks, they say the NYPD is finally overhauling how they handle protests. Yeah, after years of kettling and clashes, they've introduced a tiered de-escalation system. You know, it's a big deal when even the NYPD is embracing the concept of gradual change. It's like the police version of therapy. First, they listen to your concerns. Then they might consider not arresting you. And if then they get really crazy, they'll just ask, can we all just go home and watch Netflix instead? So for New York, it's baby steps. Baby steps. The New York Police Department has agreed to a legal settlement that will reform its handling of protests. Key changes including banning kettling, implemented a tiered de-escalation system, and appointing an executive to ensure compliance. The settlement aims to address past abuses during protests with the goal of protecting protesters' rights and improving the NYPD's response. Faces opposition from the police union, but it's seen as a significant step in changing how the NYPD handles demonstrations. The agreement will take 3 years to implement and must be approved by a federal judge. So, yeah, this is kind of crazy stuff. They have determined that how the police handled some of the George Floyd Black Lives Matter protests were not appropriate. And they've got them to agree with having a tiered system of de-escalation. I believe they have fallen into a trap. They've put more restrictions on themselves on how they can deal with situations. And I believe now they've set themselves up for more lawsuits. Right? Because now if they don't follow the steps that they've agreed to, then they're going to have to pay. And the thing is, these organized protesters, they know all of this, and they know exactly what they can do. And so they go up to the line, which is there, provoke, 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 provoke. And then when a cop steps over the line, now there's an issue. I don't think, in my opinion, that this is going to be beneficial at all. I think they've fallen into a trap. And they were forced to pay out a lot of money to protesters for this. So it's really tough when you see someone falling for something and you're like, no, don't do that. But they did. They did. Yeah. I don't know. But, you know, it's interesting how this whole thing has been set up. There's no way that there's not going to be massive protests with this next election. There's no way that there's not going to be massive protests. I'm all for peaceful protests. But this is a bad decision. New York City's parts. Bad decision. But then again, that's who they vote for, right? We've had lots of bad decisions here in Portland, and it seems like every decision that's made is bad, but I guess that's who we voted for, so it is what it is. Here's an interesting term that I didn't know until I read this story. You know, folks, I couldn't help but chuckle at this whole President of Bharat thing. Bharat. I mean, really, who's getting worked up over a name change? It's like India is going through a midlife crisis. But hey, if they're going back to pre-colonial names, I have a suggestion. How about we change Prime Minister to Maharaja? Imagine Prime Minister Narendra Modi introduces himself as Maharaja of Curry. Suddenly, diplomacy would involve more spice trade negotiations than ever before. So here's the story. Indian President Murmu discussed, and he caused controversy by referring to herself as the President of Bharat instead of President of India at a dinner invitation for the G20 leaders' reception. This change in terminology reflects ongoing debate about the country's name, with some arguing that Bharat better represents India's pre-colonial identity. Supporters claimed it's an effort to shed colonial legacy, while opposition leaders criticize it for overshadowing their political alliance named India. Political analysts see it as a strategic move ahead of upcoming national elections. India's president holds a ceremonial role and is typically aligned with the ruling party, and the president's office declined to comment on the matter. So, of course, everything is politically motivated in this case, and so is it India? Is it Bharat? I don't know. I think a country can come up with its own name. I have no issue with that whatsoever. Although it would be nice if you choose a name just to keep it for a while. But India's been named India my whole life. They would have to change the name of BRICS, though. Because BRICS needs an I. When you have these acronyms, you need one vowel, right? For the acronym, so we can say it. But just interesting. Did you know that India was also called Bharat? I didn't know that. And so there you go. You learn something every day. Who knows if this will become an official thing or if they're just testing the waters. Often that's the case. They'll throw up a test balloon, see how people react, and then they can judge accordingly. But you know what? We need some good news today. Let us get to the good news. Well, folks, let me tell you about this. Baby Augustine, this 1-year-old miracle child, beat Mitchell syndrome. Now, I've heard of rare diseases, but this one is so exclusive, even hipsters haven't heard of it. So here's the story. Vitamin B2, riboflavin, played a role in the recovery of a 1-year-old California baby with the extremely rare Mitchell syndrome, a genetic disease affecting hearing, movement, and vision. Augustine, initially healthy, experienced health problems at 3 months and was diagnosed at 7 months. The family discovered the Mitchell and Friends Foundation, which shared information about vitamin B2's potential benefits. Augustine has shown unexpected improvements, but due to the rarity of the condition, there's limited research and guidance available. Family's hopeful about the future and is learning sign language while planning cochlear implants as he grows older. Augustine's progress brings hope and faith to his family, and I think that's some freaking good news. And it really does show. Now, do we know that vitamin B12 did this? No, of course not. Like, it's not proven. You know, if one thing happens and then another thing happens, we don't necessarily know that the first thing caused the second thing. But apparently this foundation that's working with Mitchell syndrome, they believe that riboflavin, vitamin B2, is very helpful in this situation, and it seemed to have worked. Are you taking your vitamins every day? This is just a reminder that we need to have, that vitamins can play an important part in our lives. And so often, we just neglect them. We just neglect taking our supplements, taking all of these things. But I encourage everyone to make taking supplements, no matter what they are, a regular thing that you do every day. If you can set up a system, maybe you have it with your morning coffee. You can take your vitamins or your pills or whatever drugs you have to take on a daily basis, but find a way to make it regular, because these things can play an important part of what's going on. And, you know, as there is another wave of something that might be happening, you want to make sure that you have the best immunity that you can. And so there are certain things that you can take. Now, I'm not giving medical advice. Go out and look that up for yourself. But I take D3, very important. Take your vitamin D. I take my C every day. I take zinc. And I also take quercetin, right? That's a little Z-stack is what they call that. And it's good for immunity that I have read. Consult your doctor, blah, blah, blah. But I take what is called a Z-stack every day for my immunity, and I know that that's going to be really important with this upcoming wave of something, right? You want to make sure that you are at your peak fitness, peak immunity, when a wave of nastiness hits us this fall. So that's my encouragement to you, to find a system that works for yourself so that you can take your things every day and you can have a better life like little Augustine here did by taking his B2. So anyway, that's all the news I have for you today. That's a positive story. I like positive stories. I like good news. But that's all I have for you today. Stick around for the after show. I'll be going through all of your comments. And I will be back on Friday, a Fact Check Friday. So I will see you then. Until then, peace. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We got a number of people watching over on Rumble, but nobody's in the chat. Come on, Rumble. Give me some chat. Anyway, what's up, Lucid Moments? What's up, Apothecary John, Natasha? Everyone checking in. Good to see everyone. Peace, everyone. Nice to see you, Doug. Hey, Frappuccinos are awesome. Yes, Frappuccinos are awesome. I agree. Most of the time at home, I will just have black coffee. That is my go-to. But, you know, if we're out, if I'm paying all that money, if I'm paying $5-6, yeah, give me something with I go for a Frappuccino. That's cool. You can get the small, but for only 55 cents more, the medium. But instead of that, for only 55 cents more, you can get the large. So just get the large. That's how it works. You got to figure it out. You have to say, in my opinion, 0 times. The whole show is your opinion. I know. Thank you. You know, it's funny. We all have these tics. We all have these verbal tics. We all have things that we fall back on, our default things. And when I was saying that earlier, you're right. I don't need to say that. So I appreciate the feedback. I do appreciate the feedback. They have determined. Who are they? Well, they are the people that wrote the story, I guess. I don't know. Can I buy a Valtom? Exactly. Well, that BRICS conundrum settles it. They'll have to stay with India. I agree. For BRICS, they gotta keep an eye. Although the new BRICS, they've added in a whole bunch of more countries, so I don't know. We might have to come up with a new acronym for that. Was it B12 or B2? Chiron says B2. Yes, for this little kid, let's see if I can pull up the story. It was B2, which is riboflavin. And yes, that is a different vitamin than B12. Now, a lot of people, when they take a multivitamin, it'll have both B2 and B12 in it. A lot of people will take a vitamin B complex, which will have lots of different vitamin B vitamins in there. But this particular riboflavin is B2 that worked well. When I see 3 choices, the medium size tends not to be the medium price. It is usually really close to the price of the higher one. So low incremental cost versus increased benefit, perception, manipulation. Jesse, you are absolutely correct. But often, right, and this is a little trick that they play, they do this trick in bars a lot. In the U.S., they will have different size cups that may not, and if you have a pint glass, the last 3/4 of an inch on a pint glass, that's literally like 4 ounces. And if you get it with, some foam, what they call head on top, you're just getting like a 12-ounce beer, unless they fill it up to the top. The U.S. doesn't have any regulation when you go to a bar on how much beer you're getting. Usually, I'm against regulation, right? But in this case, I would like it if the bar had a little dash mark letting you know that you got a full pint. Just saying. I take fish oil and notice my brain works better. Well, Josh Barnes, that is good. That is good. I take something similar. I take a krill oil, which is comparable to fish oil, although for me it doesn't smell as bad, right? So that's why I take the krill, but I think that it is nutrient-wise the same as a fish oil. Omega-3s being beneficial as well. Indeed. Natasha says peanut butter helps my brain. 2-day work week, Tom? Yeah, that's kind of it. If you consider this my work. But the thing is, work is something that you get paid for. And me doing this show, yes, sometimes people give me tips, and I appreciate that. But Uh, Clearly, I'm not making much money from this. Tom, have you watched Redacted yet? They come on shortly after you peace out. I will have to see Redacted. Is that the couple? Is that the two people, a husband and wife? I'm forgetting exactly who Redacted is, but I will check that out. I will check that out. OX_00. I typed in the comments instead of live chat by mistake. Aha. Well, I have not, I just haven't been looking at that. So thanks for doing that. 22 years in prison. Scapegoat. What about the police officer who opened the door? The whole scenario was an obvious setup and fabricated circumstances. Not one Fed charged. I agree. I tell you what, they have really charged this so much that I think a lot of people have lost their minds about the J6 thing, the way it was presented. A lot of people will say, I saw it with my own eyes. I saw it with my own eyes. And it's like, well, can I give you more information about that? And they're like, no, I have my mind made up on this. Don't you dare give me any new information that may change my opinion, because the opinion that I have is those evil Trumpers did bad, and I don't want any new information that may change my opinion. So I see a lot of that going on with that. That's for sure. Comment here. I did not vote for Trump, but it was obvious to me what was happening while it was happening. Disappointing misuse of the judicial branch. I agree with that. It sounds silly to me to think pro-Second Amendment folks would have the intent on an insurrection while going in unarmed. Well, stop using logic, right? Logic doesn't work in this at all, right? This is all emotion. And it'll be interesting to see if they do release. I know that McCarthy has said that he was going to release all of the footage from that day. Probably it's not going to make a difference, because I really think that people have their mind made up and they're not open to new information. And to be honest, we're all like that. Okay? I have an opinion about the best coffee. For the most part, I don't want to hear somebody else's opinion. I know what's the best coffee. You got new information? Okay, you can say it, blah, 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 blah. I'm sticking with what I have. Terrible example, I know. But that's the thing, is if we don't think things out, all our examples are terrible. Let's see. Natasha says, yeah, we don't pay enough. Yeah, you don't pay enough for this show, but that's okay. That is okay with me. I'm working on some new stuff. I feel like I'm, but again, I don't know. Just let all that pass. That's all I have for you today. I will be back on Friday, a Fact Check Friday. It's going to be a great show. Hope you can join me for that. Peace out, y'all. I'll see you then. Peace.